Are we here? Are we good to go? We're good to go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third and final Otherscape stream for the Cairo Neuro Otherscape Kickstarter. That's right, you are all now watching the campaign finale Kickstarter stream, where I, your master of ceremonies, Kevin Carpenter, will be playing the free Cairo Otherscape demo with 3 of the Cairo Otherscape writers. And in fact, 3 Cairo Otherscape writers, mind introducing yourselves?
Oh, hey, I'm Omar, him, I guess, and one of the writers for Cairo Otherscape. And I'm sorry you caught me by surprise because I had the stream open and I just heard 2 Kevins talking in my ear all at once. But I'm good now.
The
I'm one of the
stream has
writers
a
from Cairo,
15-second
Cairo.
delay, so I would not
I,
prefer you
I
having
had
the
to
audio
stop
from
it.
the
I
other stream
paused it.
going. Great.
I paused it.
Phenomenal.
I only had it open to get pull the chat up. Pull the chat open. But yeah,
Phenomenal.
that's me.
Albert, can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Albert Basilli, he, him. I'm looking forward to playing this demo game, which I haven't seen before, so it's going to be really interesting. And I do not have YouTube open, so only one Kevin, unfortunately.
And Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Helen Slovak, one of the writers of the project, and I was also one of the writers of this demo project. I don't remember very much, though, so this is going to be my first delve back into it with everyone else.
So, today we are going to be playing the free demo for Cairo Otherscape, and then we'll get to a good cliffhangery narrative point, and then afterward we will answer questions from the chat about the demo, about the project, about Otherscape, and about anything else if it's interesting enough. So, today, for those of you who are joining us for our third live stream and have no idea what we are talking about, first off, welcome. Thanks for joining. Check out the Kickstarter link in the description. There's still time to pledge to the project. It ends today. But if you pledge today, you get one of Son of Oak's most generous offers, a free loadout deck. That's right, this is a free gift given to those who pledge to the Kickstarter. So not technically free because you still got to pledge to one of the tiers, but it comes with the pledge tiers. It is if you do one of the digital pledge tiers, you get the digital loadout deck. If you do one of the physical pledge tiers, you get the physical loadout deck. The loadout deck includes cool and awesome gear from both Cairo Otherscape and Neuro Otherscape that have cool tags and special abilities that are with them. This has been added near the end of the crowdfunder, but you can only get this as part of the crowdfunder. Well, technically, you can only get this as an addition to what you get as part of the crowdfunder. Want to get my language correct there. So, Otherscape, for those who are not aware, is Son of Oak Game Studios' mythic cyberpunk RPG. In a dystopian cyberpunk world where people are modding themselves and getting lost in AR and VR, there is also magic and legends that are waking up, but most people don't notice because their eyes are too far up their own screens. And so when you have someone with 9 tails like the Kitsune walking down the street, you're just like, oh, hey, that's a cool costume. But for those who are paying attention, they are the ones who can exploit both the rising technology and the magic in order to make it through this world and get paid, because most of the characters that you are playing are mercenaries that are working for and against the megacorps, for and against the various warring factions, and in the game that we are about to play, for and against the various groups that are fighting for power within Cyberpunk Cairo, where magical artifacts are waking up, where multiple mega corporations are encroaching upon Egypt, and where rich CEOs of megacorps are attempting to become godlike pharaohs. So this will be a very exciting demo game. Let's see here. What is the other thing before I get started? Oh, yeah, let's kind of go into the rules real quick, just so people who have never played this game can follow along. So let me just switch screens here real quick. There we go. Oh, shoot, you aren't supposed to see that just yet. There we go. So, Otherscape works like this. Everything goes through one roll. Specifically, you roll 2d6 and you add power whenever you want to do something. And this can be either a quick outcome or a tracked outcome if we need to get into more detail. But you tell me, I want to break down this door. I want to convince this bodyguard not to shoot me. I want to summon imps. I want to retrofit my cybernetic assault rifle, that kind of thing. All of it is through that same roll of 2d6 plus power. If you get 6 or lower, that's a miss, and I, the Master of Ceremonies, can hit you with consequences. If you get 10 or higher, that's a strong hit, a success, congratulations, you do the thing. And if you get a 7, 8, or 9, that is a mixed hit, a success, but with consequences, and those get very interesting. Now, power comes from whatever tags and statuses you can add or subtract together to add to your roll. Tags are either the power tags from your character sheet or the story tags that are within the scene. And speaking of character sheets, put that on the wrong layer. A typical character sheet is made up of 4 themes. One of the main strengths of the Otherscap game is that we do not use stats. You do not have +2 strength. You do not have +4 charisma. You have narrative tags that get to the heart of what your character is about. So one of the characters that will be played during this demo has the theme Wrecking Crew, with tags such as tearing things down and burly body. So if that character wants to break down a door, they can add their Wrecking Crew tag and their tearing things down tag together to add to their roll. Each positive tag gives you +1 power. But in this game, there are also... Locked it. There we go. There are also weakness tags here, like late for work, where if this character is running late for work, they will get -1 to their roll. But they will also get +1 attention to their theme. That's the experience points within this game. The more you confront your weaknesses in this game, the stronger you become. Now, there are also statuses in this game, and another genius part of Otherscap is that statuses aren't just health. I mean, there are statuses for getting injured 2 or shot up 3, but you can also get humiliated 3, hack 2, psychically controlled 4, all of these different things. And as I've been saying, these numbers at the end of these statuses, those numbers are tiers. Statuses can stack up into multiple tiers. The higher the tier, the more that affects your roll. And for the players here, if any status comes up to tier 5, you're out of commission, whether you are shot up 5 or run out of town 5. And if you get to tier 6, you're out. Your character's either dead, permanently transformed, or just sort of out of the game. So try not to get to tier 6. But the NPCs within this game, called challenges, have their own specific limits, so they don't have to follow those rules specifically. Some of the thugs you can just beat up, give them injured 2, and they'll be out of the game. And if you fight a war mech, it's going to take a lot more of an injured status to bring it out of commission. See here. Checking through my rules real quick. If any of you have played City of Mist, by the way, a Son of Oak's previous game, you'll start to see a lot of similarities here. Now, there are differences. City of Mist uses the more traditional Apocalypse Engine move set, while Otherscap has been, for lack of a better term, made more efficient by bypassing the rules and turning everything into that singular 2d6 plus power move. Now, if we get into tracked outcomes, so instead of just, I want to break down a door, and then you just determine whether or not you break down the door, sometimes you'll want to hurt someone, and it'll take a little bit to hurt them in order to bring them out of commission. That's when you spend your points of power after the successful roll to create tags and statuses. It's 1 point per status, 2 points per tag. And I think that pretty much covers most of what we need to do. Oh, if you roll a strong hit, by the way, 10 or higher, you can actually choose to take consequences anyway for an even greater degree of success. If there's something special you want to do with the roll besides like the baseline, what you're trying to do, you can choose to make things narratively more complicated. But be careful, because in Otherscap specifically, Snake Eyes, rolling 2 1s, are always a miss. And boxcars, which is 2/6, are always a strong hit. Otherscap has critical failures and critical successes. And we'll get to all the rest of the rules as we hit them during the demo. So, players, writers, any questions before we introduce your characters?
Good to go.
Phenomenal. Alrighty, so let's do this.
Shout out Iran in the chat.
Oh, hey, Iran's here. Hey, Iran. Iran is one of the editors for Son of Oak Game Studio and has been with us for multiple projects. Great guy all around. By the way,
That's
if
my
I just
goat.
pause, there's just a lot of different monitors and things that I'm checking and things I have to move around. So if I just go quiet, that's why. So
We
let's get
understand.
into this. So our players will be playing 3 mercs that exist within the cyberpunk world of Cairo. See here, and I want to make sure I've got everyone right. Omar,
Yes, sir.
let's start with your character.
Yeah, my name is his name is Zaglul, or you could pronounce it as Zaglul if you would prefer. He was a corpse collector until a tragic accident sort of changed his life, and now he is a flesh-eating ghoul who is tapped into the cyberspace and almost eats as much data as he does flesh, it sounds like. And I do mean that literally.
Yeah.
Every team needs a cannibal.
That's what I'm saying.
Cool.
That's how you get
Albert.
rid of the evidence.
Jesus.
My character's name is Tamer the Tank. He is a Agdanes cleaner, one of the factions in Cairo, and he's sort of like kind of a thuggish rogue, but with morals. He does it for the cause, and he's of course massive and kitted out, and basically a bulldozer. I mean, he's a tank, so he's also a bulldozer.
Isn't that like one of his power tags is literally like tank?
I believe so. Yeah, pretty much.
The design philosophy behind Tamer the Tank is very clear. Appreciate him as a character.
Yeah,
But another character I
he's-
appreciate, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing Mayar. Mayar is an archaeologist who was a part of the artifact industry before having to go on the run from the Ennead Consortium. The Ennead Consortium is the government body of Cairo, made up of oligarchs and corporate interests. She gained her own healing abilities after taking shelter in a temple of Isis, and then kind of had to go on the run from the ISIS faction within the consortium, and she now leads her own secretive cult that helps secure people in need.
A lot of cults going on in cyberpunk Egypt. So our crew is all together for an interesting job that you just picked up. And now I'll go into my narrator voice. It's another dusty afternoon in the megacity. A sandstorm is expected soon. You are all huddled around a hookah at a local cafe, burning time until night comes, the air cools, and business hours begin. It's been a difficult few months, and money is tight. Whatever brought you to become a merc in Cairo, money, glory, artifacts, well, you're still working on it. Desperate times, however, seem to call for equally desperate employers. Those who are willing to pay an obscene amount of money for a job that must happen today, now, no questions asked. A new job pops up on your bulletin apps. Your mysterious employer wants you to track a kidnapped girl named Jala. Holographic portrait included in the brief. Jala, who is contracted to the employer in some manner they see no reason to share with you, has been taken by an armed and dangerous individual, possibly a member of an extreme ideological gang, or even a rival corp agent in disguise. The briefing does not make it clear. The kidnapper was last seen heading to El Souk, the megacity's gigantic street market and a known hotbed of destabilizing anti-corporate activity. Your employer warns that locals there may be hostile to your presence, particularly if they know you're on a mission. You are tasked with recapturing Jala and bringing her to a contact in the wealthy Oasis district. Time is very much of the essence. You may use whatever means necessary, and your employer will smooth things over with Cairo OS, the municipal authority and not the title of this game, as best as they can. But the girl must live. This is not a dead or alive situation, very much alive. The elusive employer's secrecy, the tight timetable, and the involvement of a child all make this job stink like the Nile on a hot summer day. Still, if you hadn't taken the job, someone else would have. With you in the field, there's some hope of guiding the outcome of this situation that's something that suits your morals and, hopefully, your bank account. So, you all are gathered around a hookah. As the day turns to night, your first lead is heading over to the El Souk market. So before we do that, there's one other Otherscape specific game mechanic that we need to get into, and that is loadout. Each of you as characters have your 4 themes with their loaded up power tags and weakness tags. But before every mission, you can also choose one of your loadout tags as a bit of gear that you can bring along on the mission. Each of you with your pre-gen characters have your own loadout theme with your own list of loadout tags that you can bring. Each of you can bring, at the beginning of this game, 1 loadout tag with you, unless any of you have a power tag that directly correlates to carrying capacity, tool belts, the ability to carry more things, in which case you can bring an additional loadout tag. I think only one of you has that, and that's Tamer the Tank, because he's a big guy. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Cool. So, Zaglul and Mayar, each of you choose 1 loadout tag. Tamer, you choose 2 loadout tags. What will you be bringing onto this search and rescue mission?
So, do you? I'm thinking maybe bribery money might be useful, and a titanium sledgehammer, because the carrot and the stick, right?
Real. I think I'm gonna I'm going with the wire harness, the tangled wire harness again.
I'm going to be bringing my stolen Kaido OS pistol.
Phenomenal. So Mayar is bringing a hot gun. Zaglul is bringing his harness that has a bunch of loose wires coming out of it, intensifying the electric ghoul look they've got going on. And Tamer is bringing along bribe money and a titanium sledgehammer. So that's what you all are bringing along on this mission. So you're gathered around the hookah. If there's anything you want to talk about before going into this mission, let it be known now. Otherwise, we'll cut over to the market.
No.
Well, I guess
No,
Mayad will kind of
question.
lean in and ask it if either of you has any connections to anybody in the market that could be useful to us in terms of getting information, seeing if we can track, if someone else can kind of get a beat on where our mark is ahead of us.
Would my tag as the Agdanes cleaner have any connections in the market?
Yeah, you would. So let's do the first move here. So this is you investigating, trying to get some background information without physically being in the market. This is more of like you checking on your background knowledge and your background information. So that will affect this roll and what kind of information you get. But as a good preliminary roll, I think this is a great starting roll. So this is going to be 2d6. What tags are you using for this?
I guess Agdanes cleaner would probably be the only one that really applies. Yeah. But here's a question. Would any of the weaknesses be applied to this role? For example, insulted the wrong person or haunted, being a tank and very aggressive sometimes doesn't bring you friends,
Yeah, sure, we'll go for that. So, by the way, audience, weakness tags can be invoked by me, the MC, or they can be invoked by the player. We all want that sweet experience after all, or attention.
Yeah. Okay. So then it'll just be a straight D6 roll then, right? If Agdanes is +1 and the weakness is a -1. So it's just a straight D6 roll.
Straight D6 roll.
Straight D6 roll. I rolled, a 6 and a 5 and 11.
Incredible. So that's a strong success. So, even though you rolled without power, there's a rule of minimum one, so you still get one power to sort of go into your investigation. So I'll kind of give you some like background information here. So the Ogdenas are a faction that you've done some work with in the past as a fixer. You're very good at breaking down doors that need to get broken down, and you're also very good at bearing away certain things that need to get buried under a few layers of concrete. The Ogdenas are, also direct translation, the best people, are a faction of people in Cairo who are just kind of trying to get through the day without both all this magical stuff popping up, as well as all this cybernetics and advanced technology destabilizing everything. So they do kind of have this, for lack of a better term, prejudice toward both of those different aspects of society. They hang out at the El Souk, the market. They sell quite a few things in there, but they also do quite a bit of underground work to just kind of keep Cairo humming along. So, on a strong hit, I'll also tell you this. You all are going to have some problems gathering information at El Souk because Ogdenas aren't that much of a fans of magic and mythoi and sources. So Mayar's already kind of burned on that front. And they also really don't like heavy cybernetics and anything to do with the noise. So Zaglul and unfortunately you too, Tamer, are going to have some difficulty there. Tamer, you do have background with the Ogdenas. It's kind of a reluctant partnership almost because the Ogdenas are like, this guy's very useful, but we really don't like that he walks around in a mechanic exosuit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of based off your past workings with the Ogdenas, that's the context that you're going into with this investigation.
So basically, we're going to stick out like a sore thumb, essentially.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
lovely. This is great.
We could take the sewers for no real good reason.
Well, speed is
Well,
of the essence, so we probably want to go straight there, and we may have to just kind of handle things as they happen.
Listen, you only want to go to the sewers because of the dead bodies, okay? We know this. All right? Just chill.
The rats are very tasty.
Well, we can snack later after we've rescued this girl.
All right.
Cool. So you all stand up from the hookah table, taking last puffs before heading out toward El Souk. So, just like the art that we currently have on screen here, our crew sticks out like a sore thumb within this place. The bustling bazaar on the outskirts of the downtown district, El Souk is an immense, seemingly unending collection of stocky buildings, kiosks, awnings, carts, data cables, and shouts. Late day shadows dance between the bustling bodies and colorful market stalls. The enthusiastic faces of traders greet you, and town elders glare from within centuries old buildings as they drink bitter tea and gossip. Cafes spill out into the streets, tempting food smells waft over the crowds, and you can see how easily one can become lost in this hustle of humanity. You also sense something old and magical within the walls that surround the market, like the crags of a river valley. The Jinn are known to inhabit these businesses and homes, haunting them and assisting families whose lineages they've been blessing for hundreds of years. Their presence is palpable, offering forbidden secrets for those willing to bargain on a higher level than that of the common bartering merchant. But no Jinn are in sight currently, and common bartering merchants are everywhere. So, here's the place that you'll have your best chance of gathering information on this kidnapped girl. What do you do?
Hmm.
I guess we could start going around and trying to show a holographic version of her to various market stalls and people in the area and see if anybody has recognized her.
Yeah,
You wanna
I
get
guess
started?
just start asking around, getting a bead on also, well, people's reactions towards us we know are not going to be great, but just making sure that there's no like open hostility and just being careful with who we talk to and how.
Is there any benefit to eating the local rodent or gecko population?
Not in front of
So-
these folks. Probably not.
Wait, just grabbing a gecko off the ground and just munching into it? Don't
Yeah,
think that would
they're
help. You
everywhere.
can try.
But
Oh,
I would
okay.
probably maybe just if you just eat the locals, full stop. That might work better.
You know, if they don't know.
But yeah, I don't think
So-
we have anything in our arsenal that will help us specifically with investigation and showing around. I mean, yeah, we kind of stick out of the store some. So I'm assuming as soon as we start asking around, things are gonna happen.
Sounds good. So, just to get into a little meta talk here, mechanics talk, the asking around Elsuk is a challenge within Otherscape. It has a stat block just like it would an enemy that you are fighting, with a limit on the amount of negative attention that you can bring up before negative consequences happen. So, just be aware of that if you just start munching on geckos. There is also some story tags and some statuses that are in the air in the scene that may affect your roles. First story tag is aggressive merchants, because that's most of who you're going to be talking to, and also crowded market, in case some stuff goes down. That story tag might be relevant later. There is also an ambient status throughout all the people here, guarded 2. And this represents those who are suspicious of the enemies of Agdanas, as well as those with visible cybernetics or sources, aka U3. So just a heads up, in your any investigation attempts here, you're going to be starting out with a -2. So, who's the one that's approaching these people?
I do actually have a question based on one of my tags, and I'm wondering if could potentially be helpful. So, as
Okay.
a part of the cult that I've created, there's a lot of healing that I do, and I'm wondering, could there be people, whether that I know in the market, who may recognize me that I've worked with before? Maybe I've healed somebody in their family or them themselves, that I could kind of use as a connection somehow.
Yeah, your cult has been doing a lot of aid within this community, a lot of healing injuries and stuff like that. So you do have a reputation. So any power tags that deal with your cult and their reputation within this area will help.
Perfect. Great.
So you're thinking of
Good.
mentors of the body and trusted acolytes to help with your tags?
I think Menders of the Body, Trusted Acolytes feels like it would be more of me actually speaking to people who work within my cult. I might try, let's see, I might try and do Menders of the Body and potentially inspiring words where I can, if somebody seems like they're willing to talk to me, I can let them know of my temple or where the cult resides. And maybe if they ever need some healing, if they give me some answers, they're welcome to come and stop by. I don't know if that falls under inspiring words or more so trying to maneuver the conversation.
Extortion.
Speaking of extortion, I would love to use my bribery money because it's just there. You know what I mean? So
One thing at a time. I think we're talking about 2 separate tactics of investigation here. So let's start out with Mayar. Mayar, what tags are you using for this role?
So Menders of the Body for sure. Potentially
Okay.
inspiring words if I can try to use my reputation as a healer to kind of bring them to my temple as a incentive to give me some information.
Sounds good.
Perfect. So just those 2.
All right. So it's going to be 2d6 plus 2.
Beautiful.
let me ask you a question. Should we do this as like a group role? Because that is the mechanic, right? We can all kind of do it as one investigative action together.
That is another mechanic, and you guys could try to do this as a group role. So, audience, let me go into the rules here real quick. Each of you can do individual roles by yourself using your tags, and each of you can help out with those individual roles as well by gifting a power tag of yours to help out with a role. But if you do a group role all together, then each of you contribute 1 power tag toward the role, but also all of you will be sort of present during that role, which means that any consequences will happen to all of you, and also any of your weakness tags are fair game. So I would say it's worth thinking about whether you all want to do this as a group or whether you all want to do your own approaches to this.
Yeah. I think in character Mayad probably wants to do this by herself because she's the head of this cult and, would have that reputation. And yeah, she'll kind of insist that she does this one on her own, I think.
Cool. All right, so that's going to be +2 from your power tags. However, there is the guarded 2 status from everyone
Right.
here. So it's going to be a straight roll.
Straight roll. All right, here we go. Ooh. Oh no, that's a 4 and a 1, so 5.
All right, that is a failure. So, despite your reputation as a healer, you kind of have this double-edged sword of you can't become too popular because your character is kind of on the run from the Ennead Consortium, so it has been a very underground kind of you hear from a friend of a friend that someone can heal you, so your reputation hasn't preceded yourself just yet. So, murmurs abound. You see someone begin texting. Everyone gains the status
no.
Unwanted 1. So, as I said, this is a challenge with an unwanted limit. So, the more that status builds up, if it reaches a certain tier, something happens. But for now, there's just sort of rumors and odd glares.
Do we all
three
get
of
it,
us
or
get the unwanted
just
status.
That is a good question
we didn't
mechanically.
do a group roll? Because we didn't
It
do a
was not a
group roll,
group roll, so yeah, so it's just I'll say this, it'll just be my R here then.
Great.
Sorry.
She pulls
Sorry,
up
we're
her
just throwing-
hood and
Easy,
starts
easy
to
that.
just walk
Yeah.
behind.
Every
We're
man for
throwing you
himself.
under the bus. Yeah, we're throwing under the bus here. It's okay.
Great. Yep. She just throws up her hood, walks a little behind Tamid, so she's just hidden behind his much larger form, less noticeable.
Okay, so I think Tamer, you had the other the, the other approach to investigation.
Oh, bribing people? Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a carrot and stick. I mean, how far can I take it? Well, yeah, there's two ways I could do it, right? I could do the bribery money, or I could do something like making a fuss and explosive insults, which is a kind of like more aggressive approach, I would say. Kind of like, tell me where she is, have you seen her, so on and so forth. Probably not what we want to go for here, considering, we're already sticking out as a sore thumb. So bribery money would probably do it. Could I add maybe do it on the down low?
Yeah, do it on the down low works. That would definitely work
Or
with
kinda
the
like-
bribery money approach. You couldn't do it on the down low with your other approach, that's for sure.
No. That's not gonna work. No. So yeah, I think I'll do bribery money and do it on the down low.
Cool.
Good.
I'll say that. Okay, so you have bribery money and on the down low. However, these people are guarded too. You're walking around in an exosuit. They don't like cybernetics that much. I am also going to invoke the story tag here, aggressive merchants, because you are sort of doing a put money on the table, trying to get a deal made kind of thing.
Sure. All right, let's see. A 6 and a 2, so 8, which is actually
6 and a 2,
Oop.
-1, that's a 7. So that is a mixed success. So I'll say
There you
this: you're talking to some merchants. Rule of minimum 1, you still get 1 power. You're asking about this girl, and you're showing the hologram. This merchant looks you up and down. There's a bunch of different tchotchkes around his vendor stall, tinkling in the wind of this night as he looks at the hologram and goes, Interesting. I may know some people that may know a thing. But first, can I interest you in this? And it's this full touristy, 3D cube of the pyramid. Like one of those cubes that have a thing of the pyramid made out of dots within it. So it's all sparkly in 3D and all that. It's a useless trinket, but this is actually one of the consequences within this challenge. It is difficult for you to say no, so I am going to need you to roll to mitigate against the status distracted by the shiny 2.
all right.
So while you're figuring out your tags, audience, just to go into the rules real quick here, mitigating a consequence is something that you can do here. It's essentially, I try to punch someone, I can deal some damage, but then they can try to punch me back. So that is just another 2d6 plus power roll to mitigate the consequences of the incoming status. However, there is no double dipping tags when it comes to rolls that are linked together. So any tags that you used for the previous roll before the mitigation, you cannot use. So you cannot use the bribery money to try to keep yourself not distracted by the shiny, if that makes sense. So, what tags are you using, Tamer, or is this just a straight roll?
No, I have a question for the crew. I would say is, do we want to get a little bit aggressive here, or are we're gonna keep going chill mode?
I think we're
I can
still
eat
on
'em.
chill mode for now. This does seem we do want to be a bit covert.
Because I
I
could
could
make a
eat 'em.
fuss. I can throw around insults. I can just be like, what are you talking about, bro? I'm not a tourist. Habibi, I'm not a tourist. What are you doing here?
Tell me. I could eat them. Just say the word.
You could eat them, yeah. This is a group role in eating the merchant. All right, I guess it'll just be a straight roll then. I don't think there's anything specifically that I can add here. Yeah, this is gonna be a straight roll. All right, I rolled an 8.
An 8. All right, so that's a mixed success. So as it works in Otherscape, minimum 1 power. It's not on a mixed success. You don't take away the stats entirely. Instead, you just reduce it by 1 tier. So instead of distracted by the shiny 2, we'll say that you kind of acknowledge, like, all right, gotta grease some palms. You have to use some additional money in order to just get the trinket out of the way. So instead, you just get the status short on cash 1. It took more of your bribery money than you thought in order to get this information.
I was gonna say it would also could potentially burn bribery money, right? Like the tag itself.
True. So, by the way, burning tags is another mechanic within this game. Not only can I burn tags as a consequence, which means that you, the players, can no longer use them unless they are unburned through either downtime or special recovery rolls. So if you get injured, then one of you can try to do a move to heal injuries, that kind of thing. You can also burn tags willingly by yourselves during a roll. And that means that instead of that tag being worth 1 power, it is worth 3 power. So keep that in mind. That's another tool up your sleeve. So you pass some bribery money. You have to pay for the useless trinket, but otherwise you now have story tag, useless trinket.
Oh, okay.
The vendor leans down and goes, "Okay, I'm telling you this, but only because I know you. All right, you help me out. So there's 2 people that you could try to talk to. People is a term I use very loosely here.
Alrighty.
First person you can talk to, guy named Theoben. By the way, players, if I mispronounce any of these words, please jump up and tell me, hey. I believe, Sarah, you were the one that worked the most on this demo. So, guy named Theoben. He's over by one of the hookah lounges. But be careful. When I say person, I mean Jinn. There's someone else. She floats around the market. Hanya. She's a hacker. Call her Hanya the Half-Face. You'll be able to see why. If you're looking for something specific, looking for something that can only be found through the noise, she might be able to help you out. But you didn't hear that from me. And then he turns around and immediately starts yelling at other people within the market, just like, pyramids, statues, take home to your family, show your loved ones, brings memories from your grand trip to Cairo.
All right.
Real.
So we have
So you got some
leads.
information. You don't have specific information on where this girl went, but you did get some information on who else you can talk to. So you all can continue to try to gather information within the market itself, or you can try to go to either one of those sources.
Do you want to check out the sources?
I
sound
would
interesting.
say, I would say Hanya would be really interesting. Oh, you want to talk to the Jinn? Interesting. I was going to say you should talk to Hanya.
I want to talk to the Jinn.
Yeah, I'm down for either. I'm just here to be big and menacing.
It sounded like Hanya may know a little bit more about what's in the noise, right? Do we need like specific information to be gained from the noise?
Well, Cairo OS is sort of like everywhere. And so I'm assuming as a hacker, she has access to like cameras and sensors and all that crazy stuff. So, potentially she could hack Cairo, the local Cairo OS, thing.
I see that, but I feel like I also have access to that stuff. I'm a flesh-eating cybernetic ghoul.
With your powers combined.
This is the second half of that.
Maybe there's a way that we could use both of you. If we go to her, see if she's seen anything. If not, we get you to hack in.
Yeah.
You know what? You've swayed me. You've convinced me. And if not, I can eat her.
No, you can't say fairer than that, you know?
All right. So I guess we're
Alright,
gonna try
let's
and
roll.
hunt down Hanya.
I'm down Hanya.
Okay, cool.
But I'm just warning you, by the way, the person who gave me the information told me that her name is, or she's called Hanya the Half-Face. I'm guessing we probably shouldn't stare too much. And yeah, just preparing you for the worst, you know, in case.
Cool. So, with that information in mind, you all are walking through Al Souk, sort of looking around, trying to find this person who's just sort of floating around, though you have been given a physical description. And sure enough, after some searching, half an hour passes, you do find someone hanging out at the edge of an alleyway. The first thing that catches your eye about this person is that in this market that has very few cybernetics, she has quite a few. Specifically, she has the cybernetic eye, cybernetic ear, and cybernetic arm along one side of her body. She's standing there. Her hair is also half buzzed, and you can see that she's also wearing clothing that has been sort of like stitched down in half. And you can kind of see that she's very much leaning into the aesthetic here that she has. But around the cybernetics as well, you see that there is burned skin. And so she is standing at the edge of this alleyway, seemingly looking off into space. And then out of the corner of your eye, you see this like security camera on one of the buildings sort of like twitch towards you. And then you see her slowly turn to face you. And she says, I heard you've been asking for me.
Seems that you might have some information we might need.
That's what people come to me for. Information, among other things. Question is, why should I give it to you?
Well, is there anything that we could potentially strike a deal on? Do you have anything that needs doing? Do you require any services that we could provide in exchange?
Oh, sounds like the type of question that only you can answer.
Well, we do have a
My question
cannibal.
back. A cannibal.
Well, I mean, you know.
It's me.
I'm
I eat anybody.
not into. I don't need anyone eaten.
Hmm.
She turns back to Mayar and goes, "I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
was being
whatever.
sort of.
Whatever you
I had.
say, Two-Face.
I was having a dynamic with you, but that completely threw me off my game. What do you have to offer? Is what I meant to ask.
Do I have to offer? Let's see. Um,
Stay a cannibal.
Gotta keep them on their toes.
I'm above table. I'm worried that if I offer healing, it'll insult her. Because is that something, I don't know. Should I be worried about that? It feels like that would be, I don't want to like, or is,
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say I could heal your scar. You know,
yeah,
if that's bothering
I don't
you.
want to, I don't
Say that and
necessarily
then
want to do
call
that.
her ugly.
I don't know. I don't have enough of a vibe from her to know if that would be appropriate.
You could just awkwardly dance around it, like, oh, you know, if you have a cold or anything, I can heal anything.
Well, listen, I would say we can offer our services. You know, we got a tanky person here. You got healing there. You know, there are a lot of options for things that can be, you know, exchanged. You know,
That's true.
like for
That's
like.
true.
This is a barter economy. You know, this is the new world we live in.
True that. All right. Well, we do have a couple options. If you're ever in need of healing, I am someone who you can track down and find, whether you or people you know. If you ever need a pair of strong hands, we have Demir. And if you ever happen to be in need of a cannibal, Zaglul is also available for his services.
So this sounds like a group
I eat
chat.
anybody.
So here's how we're going to do this. This is going to be a roll. Each of you will provide a singular power tag that represents what Mayar just offered here as a service.
I will offer I mean, does this? I'm not sure if this works. So for Isis's healing hands, could that potentially work? Like I'm offering that as a potential service. Great.
That totally works.
I feel like I could just throw all my tags in basically, because everything applies to like I'm a big tank and I can break things, right? Because like the exosuit, the strength of 10 men, the debris shield, tearing things down, burly body, the tank.
So with a group check,
Yeah,
it's just the singular.
just one, right?
It's just a singular power tag per person. That said,
Right.
because you are doing this as a group, the check will also be rolled at scale 1, meaning that you get an additional +1 because you are a group. Audience scale is another mechanic within Otherscape that can represent either a bunch of people or one really big thing. So a bunch of robots can be scale 2, but so can one giant robot be scale 2.
I guess I'll just throw in my exosuit. Maybe that will help convince her being, Or actually, no, yeah, exosuit.
Cool. And Zaglul, what are you bringing to the table?
Kevin, you already know my tag, baby. Say it with me. Flesh eating ghoul.
If she needs some flesh eaten, sure. All right, so that is 3 power tags plus scale 1. I do not believe that Hanya Halfface has any story tags that would affect this roll. She has accomplished hacker. She has her Hamsa console that she has on her wrist, and she has implants and sensors, but none of those would affect this roll. So whoever wants to, please roll 2d6 plus 4.
Sarah, do you want to roll? Because you're the one leading
Okay.
the conversation. Yeah, you're the one who's negotiating.
I was
She
gonna
seems
say
to
you're
like
rolling
you.
pretty well, but let's see.
We're
All
gonna
right.
keep throwing
Yeah,
you
you
under
got
the
the most
bus.
rapport.
Yeah.
You
Thanks,
two got
guys.
the most rapport.
Great team dynamic. All right. 2d6 plus 4. Ooh, 6 and a 5. So that's 11 plus
11.
4.
We're goated.
I can't math.
Yeah,
15.
Phenomenal. All right, so that's a strong hit. Anya, you see her smile as you say then. She goes, all right, you know what? I could accept some favors later down the line. But truth be told, there is something I actually want, mostly playing around with you all.
Anybody.
I know who you're looking for, and I know that you're not looking for her out of the grace of your heart. So, I'll help you out, but I want a cut of whatever you're getting. And in return, you get the help of one of the greatest hackers out here in Cairo. Sound good?
Zaglul might have something to say about that, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's hey. What am I, chopped liver?
All right, but if you're taking a cut, then you're all in. There's no, oh, I'm just gonna help you with this one thing. If you're taking a cut, you're helping with everything, all the needs that we have.
Oh, trust me, I'm not one for half measures.
Oh no.
All right, calm down.
So, Hanya Halfface has joined your group. She will be represented as the story tag Hanya Halfface. So, if you all need any help from her, any hacking or anything like that, you can now use that as an additional part of your roles. A strong hit, she also comes loaded with some information as well. So, from what I heard, the girl was going through the market along with another man. I don't know anything about the other man, but I do know that they were searching for another man, the man by the name of Conrad Stiles, notorious smuggler, known for using a small army of reprogrammed robots and drones. Crossed paths with him a few times before, especially when I tried to hack one of his boys. Never really works out in the end. Anyway, big thing with Conrad, though, is that he can get people out of the city completely undetected. So if you're going to find this girl, you better find her tonight. Because if she finds Conrad, then you'll never find her again. That's all I know at the moment, though. No idea where they headed, no idea where Conrad is.
Did you see her physically with this man?
She was physically. I didn't see physically, and then her cybernetic eye turns toward the security camera, and then you see the security camera twirl. But yes, she was walking along with this other man, a man who wasn't Conrad. I don't recognize him.
Was
A lot of men
she?
involved.
Was she? Did she look like she was going willingly, or was she tied up? Handcuffs or something like that, or?
If a man was carrying a tied up and handcuffed child through the market, there would be some chaos from that.
Some.
As much as people around here try to keep to their own business, they still do try to look out for each other. So no, the child looked like she was following him around. He was even holding her hand.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter. Get the child, get paid. That's what we're all here for now. She holds up her Hamza console, and then suddenly you all get like blips in your various like cyberware that you use. And you see that she like sends
whole body.
encrypted contact info. Suddenly in your ears, you hear her voice reverberate as she speaks to you directly in front of you and goes, "We'll stay in contact. I'll try not to walk around with you all unless you need me to follow you. But just call me if you need me, and I'll help."
Thank you. Hopefully this is the start of a good business relationship.
Oh, I certainly hope so.
Mhm.
Get moving.
Have
then you
a
see-
nice day.
She goes to turn down the alleyway and then she stops and then she twirls around, gets right in your face, Aglul, and goes, "You don't get to make those puns." Are we clear?
I don't know what to do.
Are we clear? Yes or no? That's all you need to do. Are we clear?
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Yes.
I'll take that as a yes. All right.
But...
She stops glaring at you, does a little wave to Mayar, and then disappears into the shadows.
Hey, am I not here? Am I a joke to her? What's going on? I don't get a little wave?
Maybe next time.
Completely
should make
ignored.
a-
Pats him in his arm.
I'm a massive guy, like you can't miss. Now, and I just
Call
feel
her
sad.
up and make a half joke.
I'm not gonna do that. She's ready to kick my ass.
Don't
my
ruin
butt.
my business relationships, please.
No. So what we could do now is we could go to Theoben and see maybe the Jinn knows where Conrad Styles is.
Yeah, that could be a good call. Is there any information that we already know, whether by hearsay or just rumors or news about Conrad and where he tends to hang out? Like, is that something that's common knowledge?
Not
Well-
something that's common knowledge. Unfortunately, a guy who disappears people for a living doesn't
That's
have a
true.
big reputation. So
He has a
once
name
again,
of someone who would be like, I don't know, very well known. Something about him.
it's a good name, but yeah, it's a guy who smuggles people. Kind of part of his business is staying on the down low. Once again, you can go back into El Souk and try to ask around to see if anyone else knows about Conrad. That's always an option. But yeah, off the top of your dome, none of you have heard about Conrad Styles before.
Yeah, I'm probably asking around is gonna get a lot of people being like, "Who's Conrad Styles? I don't know who that is."
Yeah, let's not spread that name around. So I guess, is Theoben our best option then? Go back and talk to him, try to find him.
Yeah, go to the hookah lounge.
Get that,
Which, if anybody's
get that
interested in
gin
Arabic,
money.
we call it hookah. We call it shisha. If anybody's interested.
Sheesh, lunch.
Ah.
Yeah.
Shisha.
Great.
Shayish.
Cool. So
In
you all
French.
make your way through El Souk and find the hookah lounge that the vendor told you about earlier. This is, of course, different from the other hookah lounge that you were in earlier. There's quite a few of them popping up throughout
Oh,
the
yeah.
city. Of course.
Yeah.
Anybody who spends any time in Cairo knows there's like dozens of them on every street. No, I'm not even kidding. Like, you're spoiled for choice.
It's true.
Yeah, you actually walk into like a few other ones and it's like, does anyone see? No, he's not here. All right.
Yeah.
Go immediately next door, another hookah lounge. But eventually you find your way to a dusty old building. It is crowded in here. Of course, there is that smell that hangs in the air of all of this different sweet mist of artificial fruit, and you see people sitting on cushions around tables smoking from hookah. As you sort of like ask around and whisper in people's ears, like, "Hey, is Thubin here?" There's a few people that just sort of like their eyes go wide when you ask about that, and then they just sort of point to the shadowy back of this old dusty building past a curtained doorframe.
So we go back
There
and
are no
take a look.
guards, no guards or anything standing on the curtain, on the dusty curtain. Yeah, just let's peel back the curtain.
Cool. You all peel back the curtain
Yeah.
and walk into a dark room. It's strange because, like, this hookah lounge is dim, but there's still like candles and some lights dangling from the ceiling, and so there's a little bit of light that pours in from the bead curtain you walk through. But the other side of this room is just pitch black to the point where you can't even see the wall of this other room. And it's like, okay, this room can't be that big. We saw the building from outside. And then as soon as that sort of realization comes over you, you feel this chill in the air. And Mayar, you specifically understand that there is an aura of magic within this room. And then from the darkness, two giant translucent serpent heads appear, each head nearly half the size of Tamer, as they come out of the darkness and look down at you, both of them speaking simultaneously. So, you have come seeking Thurban, twin-headed serpent. But for what reason?
Just hang out
Information.
at a hookah bar. Looking like that?
Information. Good, good. What do you see?
Conrad Styles.
That is a name that I have heard recently. But is that information something I shall give you? So, this is going to be another role, another sort of negotiation here. Real quick, the story tags that are in play with this djinn, as it seems like this djinn is a cunning negotiator. There's also an aura of magic within the room. Story tag 2 heads, it just kind of needs that. Not sure if that's going to apply to negotiation, but this you just kind of have to have it with this person. There is also, Mayar, you instantly clock that there are wards within this room. So this thing is Jinn Warded 3, and it is also Tight-Lipped 3. So it doesn't seem like it's really that willing to give up information. So, being a little meta here, real quick, you can just go straight to the offer, or this is a hookah lounge. You can try to schmooze a little bit, see if you can reduce any of those tags or statuses.
Butter them up.
Yeah. What do you
I
do?
think that sounds like the way to go.
Do we know anything about this djinn, like off the top of our heads, like in terms of like lore? I'm assuming
Does
djinns
he
are
like hookah?
known. Does he like hookah? He's in a hookah bar. Imagine.
Hey, Omar,
Imagine if he
can
didn't
you
like
tell us a little
hookah.
bit about Jinn? So there is knowledge about Jinn that you all know off the top of your heads, as they're sort of a well-known myth within this area. But I think from our previous stream, which you can watch on our YouTube channel, audience, our first Cairo Otherscape stream, Omar went into quite a bit detail. Omar, tell us a little bit about the Jinn in Cairo Otherscape.
Jinn are these sort of half formless that, otherworldly creatures that do exist in our world, that do sort of have their own free will. They can kind of change shape or form depending on who they are, how powerful they are. And they do, kind of mirroring humans, they do have their own desires, they do have their own goals. And, there's also, I would say, the Ifrit or the Afarit, which are the malevolent Jinn who explicitly are out there to harm humans, bring harm, bring chaos, destruction to people, humans, and the like.
So, speaking of, by the way, there has been a new pre-generated character for the Cairo Otherscape demo dropped within the recent few days. You can actually play as a Jin within Cairo Otherscape, and specifically, you can play a pre-gen character Jin that is in the Cairo Otherscape demo folder. How do you access that, folks? Well, you can go to the Cairo Otherscape Kickstarter crowdfunding page right now through the link in the description. Download the demo for free, the demo that we're playing. You can play as Mayar, you can play as Zaglul, you can play as Tamer, you can play as the Jinn. There's also the original Otherscape demo in there as well from the original crowdfunding campaign of the game. So you can totally check that out. And hey, while you're at the crowdfunding page, maybe check out some of those pledge tiers and see if you want some of this game. Anyway, gotta throw in those plugs here, as that's sort of the purpose of what we're doing this. Now back to the game. So, Thuban, the twin-headed serpent Jinn, has some information. You want it, but he's a tight-lipped, two-headed serpent. What do? What approach are you taking?
So do you guys think we should schmooze? We can sit, smoke some hookah, ask around, chill for a bit, see the vibes we get.
Do we have the time to do that? Do we have the time to just sit and relax and?
That's true.
You know, because if what we heard from Hanya is to be believed, you know, we're on a tight schedule. How close are we to midnight? Let's say. Where is the sun in the sky?
You started as soon as night fell, so we'll say it's probably about like.
Where's the moon in the sky
like
then?
Probably like 9 p.m. at this point.
Okay.
So
we don't have
it's not
that
midnight
long.
just yet.
Yeah.
Maybe there. Maybe there could be some kind of benefit to sitting, chatting with people in this cafe. Like, even though they seemed nervous, they know that Theoben's here. Maybe there's people who've already made deals with him that we could talk to and just see how they went about doing what they did. So maybe that's a little spends a little less time, but like.
Yeah, but we're already talking to Theoben. We can't just be like, "Hey, wait a second, let's go talk to the other people outside."
From the darkness, you suddenly hear a clattering, and then below Theoben's twin heads, you see a cushion carrying a hookah suddenly roll out of the darkness towards you. You see that there are 3 regular-sized, like, hookah pipes, and then there's, like, 2 large-sized, like, hookah pipes that are connected to the same machine.
Oh, we sit and smoke with Theoben.
I guess so. We can't deny that invitation. So.
No, why not? Alrighty, I guess that's what we're doing. Let's try that.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll sit in schmooze, I guess.
Cool. So who's leading the schmoozing charge, or is this going to be another group role?
I don't know. It would be fun to be a group role, I think. Because we're all trying to schmooze together, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can all contribute a little bit. Because I don't think any of us are particularly tag aligned to schmoozing very well.
No. And I don't think really bribery money would help with a gin. Can you imagine?
So yeah, each of you, if there's going to be a group check, then each of you give me a tag that goes toward schmoozing. Otherwise, if you don't have a tag, you might have to just kind of like sit quietly and smoke.
Oh goodness.
That might be what Tamer has to do. Because
okay. I'm gonna see if this could be just as a part of the discussion. No, strings attached really, but I've got some corporate encryption codes as a tag. And I am considering just offering that up as a, after we chat a little bit, we're sitting here smoking, bringing it up naturally in conversation that, hey, it's something that if you ever, need, like even just giving it up now, if you ever, for you as a gift, if you need to enter some of the more ENIAD consortium locations online, couple encryption codes to help you out. So when I contribute
you're
that
offering
tag.
up some codes. You're kind of going into like a haggling, negotiating kind of angle here.
A little bit, yes.
Zaglul, what do you have on offer?
See, I got a ton of tags. I feel like I could throw at this. If we're schmoozing,
if you have a ton of tags, then you can be the one that leads the charge on schmoozing. This doesn't have to be a group check.
That's true.
In fact, you can lead the charge, and then Mayar can add in her corporate codes tag as an assist, because that's another thing you can do outside of doing a group check.
Oh.
But what are the tags that you're thinking of throwing at it?
I was gonna say I have the show some respect tag, which I feel like, Zaglul and Theoban being not quite what you conventionally call a human, I feel like there's some similarities, there's some solidarity between us there. And I would say, since Theoban is a double-headed giant snake, he must happen to enjoy rats as a delicacy. And that is my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I feel like I could offer him, I could tell him, I could show him, I could bring him more rats than he's ever seen in his entire life. A feast of rats. And I feel like that might be appealing to Theoban here.
Is
That-
rats represented as a tag on Zaglul's sheet, or is this more of a like I want to gather up rats for this offering?
All I see is flesh-eating ghoul. That's indiscriminatory. That is all flesh. That is all living matter. And what more matter there is there than rats, mice, geckos, weasels? There's a lot of rodents and a lot of
Okay.
food for Theobon if he so chooses.
Always hungry might be something you could throw at it, because I'm
Always
sure as a
hungry?
djinn. Yeah, because I'm sure as a djinn, an immortal djinn always has that hunger for more or something different, or So maybe you can bond on always being hungry.
Yeah.
How about this? Because I want to bring in another mechanic here to the game because we're showing off this game. There is a flashback mechanic where once per scene you can do a flashback to be like, oh hey, by the way, I did this before we got here. So if we want to flashback to Zagul kind of like heading off from the group real quick and gathering some rats, we can do a roll to see how many rats you gather.
It's like Family Guy. We're doing a
What?
cutaway gag.
Exactly.
Let's do it. Let's roll for
Go
them
for
rats.
it.
Lois. Cool. So we flash back during all the market interrogation when Mayar was talking to someone and Tamara was talking to a merchant. Zagul just kind of like scampered off into the darkness to pick up some rats.
I'm in an alley, like half sticking out of a manhole, just collecting rats.
Pretty
So
much,
it's going to be flesh-eating ghoul and always hungry. Any other rat collecting tags?
Maybe the harness? I feel like the harness would have helped. Just hold rats. Just covered in rats on the harness.
Like on a carabiner, just tie a rat's tail to a carabiner and just be like click, click, click.
That's so disturbing, and I do like that. So sure.
And we gotta outside of the rats thing. I like I said, show some respect. That's I feel like to bond with the djinn with Theoban.
So that will be when we come back to the djinn conversation. We are in the rat collecting
we're
flashback.
rolling to collect the
Yeah,
rats.
we are rolling to
flashback,
collect
yeah.
rats. This is going to be a flashback roll to collect some rats to help you with the negotiation with the djinn.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm putting in flesh-eating ghoul, always hungry. I'm thinking grip of steel because them little things ain't getting away.
Sure. And are you also doing the tangled wire harness to wrap
And
up
the
the
harness,
rats?
of course. I'm wrapping them up all around me. I'm tying them up. I
Our
got
most
a rat
complex
vest.
role this game is going to be rat collecting.
Yeah, it will be rat collecting. Yes,
That's how it has to be.
it's like we're just walking around with rats all over his person.
Cool. So yeah, this is. I'm
I'm
sorry, someone just commented in the chat. Yoink.
Right? Yeah.
So this is 2d6 plus 4 for rats.
2d6
So Zagul
plus
is
4.
actually just Jerry, right, from Tom and Jerry. Or is it Tom? Sorry.
All right. I got a 6 and a 5.
Oh, I
This
think
is
you're
my
good anyway.
This is going to be the highest roll that we will get.
This
in
is
this
the
game.
highest roll.
This is amazing.
Yeah. So
This is how many
What is
times
it, like
you put in this?
what is like a 17 for rat rolling for rat collecting?
Okay,
Our
cool.
MC
So-
our MC has lost the plot.
No, this is the plot, folks. This is what playing Otherscape is like.
This is what
Narrative
it's like, baby.
focused. Okay, cool. So, when doing rolls to build up statuses or tags, statuses are 1 power per tier, story tags are 2 power per tag. So, rats are going to be a story tag since they're physical objects. So, you have 2 separate pile of rats story tags. So,
Can I
we
help
come
him?
back to
Can
the-
I help him? Can I help him with his rat roll?
No, you cannot, because you during this
that's a shame.
flashback you were talking with merchants.
Oh.
So
No, but
we-
but I do have a useless trinket, which I could have just been like, here you go.
True. And in fact, as we come back to the present, we're in the dark room. There's the giant snakeheads. You all are like looking around, like trying to figure out what you guys see. Zagul out of nowhere, just a bunch of squirming rats that he has tied up from the wires from his harness that he has apparently just been carrying around this whole time.
It's like 2
I'm just
medicine
like-
rats.
Just trying to not look shocked in front of the djinn. Just like
You see this 2-headed serpent djinn look down, and his eyes just go full wide. Vertical pupils just go like as dilated as they can be at the sight of all these rats. So, is this? Are you going for the like diplomatic, like here's what I want role, or this is like the softening up?
This. I said we soften them up with this, you
Okay.
know?
Cool.
Would that be like
So-
the influence action?
That's the so there's not like moves in this game like with City of Mist.
Well,
There's an
yeah,
influence
but yeah.
effect. That's what you try to
Effect,
do when
that's
you try
what
to
I'm
create
looking for.
statuses to like influence people. In this case, you are trying to reduce the Jin's tight-lipped 3 status here. So starting this roll, Zagul, you have show some respect. So this is linked, by the way, because you did a move previously to build up these story tags for this role. So you can't use the previous tags you have, but you can use your 2 separate pile of rat story tags, your show some respect tag. If there's any other tags you want to use, you could totally use that. And Tamer, I think you also wanted to help out.
I have a shiny trinket. Does that count?
You can totally put in like throw in the useless trinket if you want.
Yeah.
And then could I?
Uh-huh.
Is this like a role where I could from before put the corporate encryption codes, or is that?
No, I think that'll be a different role, right?
I think this would be a different role. I think sort of the giving over of the rats and the useless trinket is more of a like here's some physical stuff we can give at this point. Hey, you can use some corporate encryption codes for a later purpose. It's just so far out of the realm of temptation that we're working with here.
It's not nearly as good as the rats.
Rats and a useless trinket. Yeah, I mean, what more could you want in life?
So unless you have anything,
would lend a hand help at all? Does it need anything outside the rats?
I don't think you need that.
I don't think that
I could
needs
feed him
anything
the
outside
rats
the
if he doesn't want to go down.
I don't think lend a hand is going to be directly relevant to here, but I
All right.
appreciate the stretch. So 2 rats, useless
2
trinket,
rats.
show some respect. You're coming in with gifts, so this is going to be
I'm
plus
coming
4.
in with gifts. All right. 2d6 plus 4. We got a 2.
Oh God.
Oh,
Wait,
no.
did you- Oh. Okay,
Oh, that's
all
not
right.
great.
You didn't. So wait, did you roll a 2 and a 3 for 5, or did you roll total 3?
I rolled a 2 and a 3.
You rolled a 2 and
So
a
you
3
rolled a 5.
for a 5.
So
Oh,
I
it's
rolled
an
a
act.
5.
okay. That's
Yeah,
much
it's a-
better.
That's okay.
So that's a 5 plus 4, and that's a 9. Even if I use the cunning
amazing.
negotiator story tag that this djinn has, which honestly I think when presented with a pile of rats, that just goes out the window. It's still going to be
Hey, what are you,
a mixed success.
What are you gonna negotiate? Yeah, what are you gonna negotiate?
So with that, you use 3 power to take away the tight-lipped 3 status, as immediately those tight lips open up and just eat all of the rats that you are offering here.
It's beautiful. Just the
Uh,
sound just fills the cafe.
I will,
Horrifying.
I will say, this. I'm going to do a consequence, but this consequence isn't going to be directed towards Zaglul, who I think is totally into this, totally fine with this. Tamer, for helping out here, I need you to mitigate against the status unease 2 at this, as this is some of the freakiest stuff you've ever seen.
Sure.
Do you have any tags that help against unease?
A true rebel. I'm easy with the uneasy.
That's fair. I'll take that.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. So just the one, I guess.
Just the one.
Oh no. I rolled a 2.
Cool.
Oh
Snake
no!
eyes.
Snake eyes.
Snake eyes.
Snake
Critical fail.
eyes.
Automatic miss. You
Right,
take
right.
unease 2, Tamer. This is this
That's
image right here of this translucent giant 2-headed snake eating the rats right out of your ghoul friend's hands that he somehow gathered up while you weren't looking. You're going to see this in your nightmares. So you have unease 2
the snake is
as a status.
translucent.
Yes.
This is not why I
So
gave you
So
the
we see
useless
the rats
trinket.
going down.
You see the rats going down. So just
Oh,
there's
why?
every
that's
part of this
perfect.
interaction is
That's
horrible.
perfect.
You know what? I must have like a +1 for. Oh no, well, it doesn't matter. But I was gonna say seeing Zaglul eat. I'm sure I've seen that before, right? So
Cool.
Well, I think it's a little
So-
different seeing a transparent rat. Or
that's true. That's
Anyways,
snakes eating, I guess,
that's
right?
not.
Theoben, the
Anyway, what are we
twin-headed
doing?
serpent djinn, looks towards you and goes, "You have brought gifts out of respect. Very well. We may talk. If you wish
Sure.
for information, I would ask for something valuable in return. While this trinket is shiny, I prefer that of the magical persuasion. In that regard, what do you have to offer, Theoben?"
So I have a tag combo for carving a protection sigil.
Oh,
Could I do that and give that as my gift?
sounds good. So this will be a roll to create a story tag to create a protection sigil.
Great. So I'd be adding both I can never pronounce this. Apotropaic magic and carve it into stone to carve a protection sigil.
Sounds good.
Can I
I
add
am
lend a
going to
hand?
invoke Theoben's Cunning Negotiator tag, though, so that is going to be a -1
Okay.
here.
Great. So
Zagul,
it's
you said you
2d6
wanted to
plus
help?
1?
Yeah, I have the tag lend a hand. I don't know the rule. Like one person can help, like throw
I-
in one tag.
I don't know if you can help narratively here because you don't have the ability to carve protective magic into stone like your comrade.
All right, I understand. That's how it
Yeah.
is.
So
And
this is going to
Tamer is
be
just gonna
a-
be off to the side, going. You know.
So this is going to be 2d6 plus 1, Mayar.
Ooh, okay. 5 and a 1, so 6 plus 1 is 7.
That's a mixed success, so that works.
Mixed success. Okay, heck yeah.
Theoben looks towards you and goes, "Oh, that sounds good, but you see, I have 2 heads, so I will need twice the protection." Mechanically, what this is going to mean is if you burn your carve into stone tag, sort of representing you carving a bunch of these protective spells to a bunch of different stones and kind of stretching out that magical ability, he will tell you the information.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Well, 2
So-
heads, double the stone. We'll go ahead.
Cool. So with
So
that,
does
you
he need
make
both heads?
you make 2 separate protection runes from the magic. You stretch out your abilities, and it's like the magical equivalent of like a muscle twinge. Now you're like, "Ooh, okay, I probably
Yeah.
shouldn't make any more stone runes for today." But you make exquisite protective runes and offer them to the twin serpent. Both heads come down and very gently like take the stones out of your hands with their mouths, of course, as they do not have hands. They are snakes. They retreat back into the darkness and then come back into the light, turn to you and go, "Okay, what information do you see?"
Where can we find?
Well, wait a
Conrad?
second.
Oh.
Should we maybe ask directly just where the girl is? If we're asking information, could we probe in that direction, being like,
Can we ask
or
2
would that
questions?
count? Yeah, there's 2 heads, so we should be able to ask 2 questions.
Oh, and we
What that
buttered
means.
him up so much.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna ask for 2 runes and 2 sets of rats, we should get 2 sets of answers. I think it's only fair.
That was not the deal. Also, you only succeeded that roll with 1 power, so you get 1 question.
One.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. It
Maybe
may
the
be
sure thing
better
is
to
just to
find.
ask.
I was gonna say it may be better to look for Conrad, because also if the girl hasn't reached Conrad yet, we might be able to cut them off at the pass. Like if we're able to get to him first, and then see if we can kind of stake out the area, stake out wherever he is. Give that a try.
Yeah, probably the best way to go about it.
I was gonna say, because if we know where Conrad is, he knows where the girl is. If we know where the girl is, we might get there too late. Honestly, we might.
All right. So then, I will continue my question. Where can we find Conrad Styles?
Conrad Styles. A name that is pleasant upon my tongue. 2 S's. And both the snakeheads love saying that. I have sent many to Conrad Styles who wish to disappear. Like myself. And you see the translucent snakehead suddenly go invisible for just a moment before coming back to being translucent. Conrad. You may find him by the docks at the apex of the night. If you wish to disappear, he and his robot minions will be there. But hurry, he does not stay there long.
Well then, I suppose we better get moving.
I suppose we better, yeah.
Thank you, Theoben, for your answer and for helping us.
And
Shout out,
thank
Goat.
you for the trinket and the rats and the runes.
Finally seen.
Tamer, you see one of the snakeheads cough up one of the rats and then squirming, tries to get back onto its feet on the ground. Then you see both snakeheads try to catch the rat. Both of the snakeheads hit each other at the same time. The rat starts leaving. It goes, "No, no!" And as the rat goes into the darkness, you see both snakeheads go into the darkness as well. And you just hear horrid noises.
Zaglu, by the way,
I think-
motion towards the rat as soon as it falls down.
It's like, well, do you help with the rat? Do you catch the rat for him?
Of course, lend a hand.
Incredible. No roll necessary. You just grab the rat, throw it up into the air. The snakehead eats it, turns to you and goes, both of them, "We like you."
Shout out, Goat.
So, back into the darkness. You have figured out where Conrad Styles is, what time he will probably be, and where the girl's probably going to go. So, before we do our last bit of the demo, as we have about half an hour more where we're going to play the demo, and then we'll go into a Q&A. Audience, we are going to take a quick 5-minute break. So we will be right back. But while you're waiting, everyone, be sure to check out the Cairo Otherscape / Neuro Otherscape crowdfunding page. This is a very Cairo Otherscape focused stream, but also available is the upcoming cyberspace expansion to Otherscape that has new rules on hacking, new challenges of cyberspace demons and internet cowboys, and all of the different flavors of Otherscape wackiness going on. There's a lot of incredible stuff on the crowdfunding page, including this demo that you can play. Be sure to check it out, and also please come back when we come back from break as we finish up this demo and answer some questions. So, see you in a little bit. And we're back. All right, my audio is coming in. Everyone else?
I believe so.
Mhm.
We're good to go.
Hopefully.
So, welcome back, everyone, and of course, all the people that stayed with the stream because we love you so much. So, we are going to be playing for another half hour of this demo. Unfortunately, we won't be able to go through the whole demo, but you know a way that you can check out and play the demo yourself. That's right, by going to the Cairo Otherscap Kickstarter crowdfunding page, where you can download the demo for free and see all of the cool stuff that is on offer in the campaign, including the free loadout deck that comes with the pledged tiers, as well as all the different goodies that have been unlocked through all of the stretch goals, including, I think there's a new Neuro Otherscape job that we talked about in our previous Neuro Otherscape live stream, which you can also check out on our YouTube channel. And by the way, I'm legally obligated to say this: like and subscribe for more stuff about Otherscape, City of Mist, and every other Son of Oak game project. All right, so I think I just rapid fired like 3 or 4 different plugs right there. So let's get back to the game.
Real.
Do it.
So, the docks. Getting to the docks takes some effort with the overcrowded roads. As you get nearer, flying drones seem to make themselves scarce, the work of powerful radio disruption fields in place that severely discourages anything flying from operating in the area. Nothing must disrupt the shipping lanes. Though despite this disruption of drones that lead to less disruption of shipping lanes, you still hear Hanya Halfface's voice through your comms clear as day. Don't worry about losing connection with me. I've cracked these encryptions long ago. So remember, you still have her up your sleeve in case you need her. The docks are imposing in the gloaming light, with towering cranes and bulky shipping containers stacked into a maze along the banks of the Nile. An intricate dockland stretches out before you, populated with rolling security drones, dock worker robots, and presumably, on the far end where the Nile meets its shores, the girl you seek and her captor. So, basically, you guys have to get through the docks at night without alarming the many different robots and few guards that are here. So as you are sort of on the edge of these docks, hidden away in the shadows, you may want to talk to each other to figure out your game plan.
So why do we need to do without alerting anybody? I say we just wrecking ball through. You know, honestly.
That is also an option.
Point. Let's
We
just get
could.
let's just get there.
Yeah, Tamara hasn't had a lot of combat today. I feel like
Yeah, I feel like it's time to
a
let
good
loose.
time.
Might be time to let loose. Do you guys just want to let
Might be
loose?
time to let loose. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's let loose. Yeah, because I got a lot of things I can. There's a lot of things I can throw at it. You know. Yeah, if you folks want to go loud, no more stealth mission.
I do have potentially one other option, maybe to lead up to going loud, potentially, where we start off getting a lay of the land. Above table,
Sure.
I have the tag combo of travel unseen, specifically with circumventing guards. So I could scout ahead and kind of see what our best path of action is, just so we can limit the number of aggressors we may face, but we could still definitely go loud after I figure out what, to try to figure out what the best path is.
I was actually going to ask, did we get information on where Conrad's style is, or just like specifically is he in an office? Is he hanging out by the docks, or is it just like he is in this area?
The information you got is that he's by the docks late at night, specifically for helping people disappear from Cairo. So more than likely, he's going to be at the far end of the docks, where the docks meet the Nile.
Gotcha.
If I may throw out a pitch here, we could do combat and stealth at the same time. Because these are docks that are mostly populated by robots, automatons, machines, and we have the powers of 2 hackers on our side. We could, sow dissent between said robots. We could start some infighting. That way, they're way too distracted fighting amongst themselves to notice, 3 weary travelers making their way through the docks.
We could try.
Are the docks have like a security? Is it a cordon? Is it free to move around? What is the situation?
So I'll tell you this mechanically through the story tags in play. So the docks themselves, there are story tags, dozens of spider drones. So that's just kind of wherever you're at, there's some drones that are moving stuff around. There is jammed drone navigation. So I don't think that's going to be an issue with any of you guys, as none of you have drones that you are using. And then there is a labyrinth of shipping containers. So that's just sort of a terrain tag that is going on here. Also, there's a status firewall too. As Hanya Halfface tells you, there are the firewalls in place to keep people from sort of hacking a lot of the different stuff here at the docks in order to keep the shipping lanes going. You got to keep the commerce going. You got to keep the money flowing. So that's sort of the obvious things that you can look around. A bunch of shipping containers, a bunch of robots.
But it's not like open port where people can just walk freely. It's like
especially not at night.
No. Yeah. I mean, we could stealth a little bit until we get discovered. I have do it on the down low, which, is one tag that is stealthy. So I'm happy to give that a shot. Depends on how you folks feel.
Yeah, I'm down for that too. And then once if and or when push comes to shove, we start lighting stuff up.
Let the fireworks go. Someone in the
Sure.
chat said, "Try the rat thing again."
I don't think robots care about rats, unfortunately.
So I will say this doesn't have to be an all or nothing. Otherscape gives quite a bit of freedom when it comes to the tactics that you want to put in play here. As Mayar suggested earlier, Mayar, you can go out and sneak and sort of be hidden, and Tamer and Zaglul can go the more direct route if that's what you want to do. Or all of you can sneak, or all of you can start making some noise. There's quite a few different options that you can take here. Just know your mission objective: find the girl alive. Get paid.
So not even bring her back. We just need to find her alive.
You have to bring her back. That's
Okay,
a given.
Right.
Just as you exchanged rats for information, you exchanged the girl for money.
Girl for money.
Yeah. So what I could do is I could be a distraction to let the other you two folks maybe find Conrad. Could make some noise. And then I'll distract all the robots, so you don't have to stealth, basically. You could just go. And I'll just attract all the robots and all the security drones and whatever, the spider things, whatever is set up to alert whenever something bad happens.
I still might stealth, because it gives me more tags. And I can, make my way a little bit covertly, because I want to see specifically if we could stake out Conrad, take a look at what's happening, see if we spot the girl either near him or around him before they reach each other, see if there's something we can do, or if not, just kind of get a lay of where he is and what's happening.
Sure, yeah, we can do that.
Oh,
great. So I think separately then I will sneak.
Okay, so it sounds like Mayar is separately sneaking, so we'll do her roll first, and then Tamer is going to make some noise and cause a distraction. Zaglul, you're kind of in the middle here. Which team are you going with?
Like I said, I like the idea of sowing dissent among the robots, among these spider drones. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to team up with Hanya. I'm going to try to hack them, turn them against each other, make it fun, make it chaotic. That's what I'm going to try to do.
So you're in Team Chaos.
I'm in Team Chaos, very much so.
I'll make a suggestion. What if we both wait until Mayar finds Conrad, hopefully, maybe, and then we kind of go lose our minds. So the seed of chaos. Let out the dogs, as it were.
I could do
of destruction.
Yeah. Let's do it. Okay, cool. So, Mayar, you're up first. You slink off into the shadows as you are going to sneak through the docks and see as much as you can. So, the docks themselves are a greater challenge. This is not going to be a quick outcome where it's either you sneak or you don't. The docks do have a sneaking limit. So, mechanically, this is going to be you building up sneak pass statuses. And once you get to a certain tier, then you will have successfully snuck past the docks themselves and get to the other end. You can also just build up the sneak pass pass statuses, and then you can just kind of have that in your back pocket for when the other team starts causing chaos, so you don't have to be all the way on the other side of the docks for this. So that just letting you know that ahead of this roll.
Got it.
Another thing I'm going to let you know of ahead of this roll is that the story tag dozens of spider drones is going to be hindering you, but the story tag labyrinth of shipping containers is going to be helping you, as there's
Great.
quite a bit of cover for you to sneak around here. So those
Great.
two story tags will cancel each other out.
Awesome. Great. So for Travel Unseen as a tag combo, it includes both Circumvent Guards and Escape the Ennead. Does Escape the Ennead necessarily... I know that the way it's worded, it's like escaping from the consortium, but could it mean that it helps in the skills that I've gained in doing so to sneak around unseen, if that
I
makes
would
sense?
say yes, and also
Okay.
these docks are like a lot of these drones are definitely
Our Ennead?
provided by the Ennead Consortium, which
Great.
audience, the Ennead Consortium is basically sort of loose conglomeration of various megacorps that have interests within Cairo. So yeah, the sort of background radiation of megacorp influence within the city.
Yeah.
A little bit of lore. So
I will
yes,
also
Escape
add to
the
that real
Ennead will
quick in
definitely
terms
be
of
directly.
in terms of lore, is that the Ennead Consortium is also the governing body of Cairo, so they have a lot of power across the city. And there are folks in there who are trying their very hardest to become the next great Ennead, hence their name. So a lot of influence, a lot of power, a lot of gathering of skills that they want.
So a lot of the megacorp power is vested in the government. That's the way that they're trying to influence this world.
No, I forgot I was working with the game writers here. That's what you get, audience, from watching the stream. It's just little bits of lore here and there. Love this. All right, cool. So escape the Ennead, circumvent guards,
Mhm.
and then
I
anything else?
think, well, I burned, what did I burn earlier? I burned Carved in Stone. I guess corporate encryption codes doesn't really do anything unless I'm actually dealing with any of the drones myself.
Yeah, you would
If
use
So I might
corporate
leave
encryption
that.
codes if you're trying to do something directly with hacking them, but just note that
Yes.
the firewalled 2 is an ambient status that's within these
Yeah.
stocks. So that would be a separate
Yeah.
role.
Great. All
What
right. So then,
about
yeah.
if there are like any magical spells protecting wards or something? You could do countering spell.
Ooh. If
No
if
magical
there are,
wards
it
as
seems
far as
more
you can
tech.
see. It's all
Yeah.
technology down here.
Yeah. Great. All right. So I'm going to use my tag combo of travel unseen of escape the Ennead and circumvent guards.
Cool.
But wait, can I throw in
Could
a
I-
tag to help? Yeah.
No, you
That's
guys
funny. I
are
was
split
about to
up.
say.
Mayar's on her own.
Well, we're waiting.
you
We're
know-
waiting for Mayar. Well, but because I could burn a tag, right, in this situation.
You could burn a tag. I will say that you guys are specifically splitting up, but I'll hear you out. What are you thinking of burning?
Well,
Here?
because I have an extendable debris shield, it could be a good form of cover as she goes through the labyrinth.
Well,
And I
it
could
could
just
be,
give
but
it
it
to
could
her.
also. Oh.
I could just be like, "Here's the shield." You know what I mean? Like,
Well, big
it's
moving
a
shield.
stretch. It's a stretch.
First off, mechanically,
Well, it's
you wouldn't
extendable.
burn a tag for an assist. You would lend the tag, so it
Right.
wouldn't be the +3, it would be the +1. And also, I'm going to nix extendable debris shield as
Okay.
assisting. Mostly because you are also lugging around a shield while you were sneaking around, so it kind of both helps and
But
hinders.
it's extendable, you know?
It's like saying a turtle is very stealthy because it has that shell.
Yeah.
Ah,
How often do you notice
Alrighty.
turtles? This is what I'm saying.
2d6 plus 2. Here we go.
Cool.
3 and a 3. So 6 plus 2 is 8.
That's a mixed success.
Mixed
Phenomenal.
success.
All right, cool. So that is going to build up the status Sneak Past 2. So you didn't get to the other end of the docks, but you are firmly in the shadows. That said, let's see here. As you are navigating the labyrinth of shipping containers, I'm going to do the consequence. The PC reaches an unexpected dead end and must turn back. So I'm actually going to remove 1 tier from sneaking past. So as you are navigating the labyrinth of shipping containers, you have to like turn back. So you're still in the shadows, but you only have sneak past 1. So
Got it.
you didn't get to the other end of the docks as quickly as you thought, especially with everything going on. You kind of had to make some turns as well. It's like a spider drone would crawl over a cargo container and you had to make another turn. Then it's like a drone flew past, you had to make another turn. It's like, oh, dead end, you have to turn back.
Right.
But you're still hidden.
Okay.
And that's when you hear
Oh no.
Tamern Zagul. So,
Yay!
Zagul, you were the one that wanted to hack. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So let's do your role before Tammer starts blowing stuff up.
Do we get any
All right.
information from Mayar first for like where we're headed?
Not really. Mayar, as I said, Mayar's kind of just navigating the maze of the shipping containers. So at the very least, you have a better idea of what's going to be the more efficient path toward it, but you don't know fully how to get to the other side of the docks just yet without getting spotted.
Got it.
So, I do have 3 cyberspace tags: Intel Devourer, Screaming Through Modem, and Tear Through Crypto.
Okay.
Great and wise game master. Which would
Master of
all of
Ceremonies.
these? Can I put Master of Ceremonies? Can I put in all 3 of these?
Yes, you can put in all 3 of these. However, the ambient status Firewalled 2 is still in effect.
All right, and we got Hanya. We got her off the team.
You do have
She
Hanya
could help.
Halfface.
That's
yeah.
4 tags.
That's 4 tags.
Albert, you
So
want
that's
help?
going to be
And-
that's
What,
going to be a
does
plus
Hanya
2.
only count as 1 tag?
Hanya only counts as 1. She's a story tag that you have
Damn.
available.
Notice how I put in 3 tags for hacking. She only puts in 1.
That
Just
seems,
saying.
seems like Zagul is
Just
a better hacker, you know? That's you know.
I'm
Don't
just
let her hear
saying.
that.
Tammer, suddenly your exosuit acts and you punch yourself. Cool. So this
Could
is
you
going to
use your
be
tangled wire harness? No, right? No, it would make sense.
Nah, you're not hacking directly into these drones here.
All right. So that's plus 2.
Plus 2.
All right. I got a 6 and a 3.
A 9, okay. Plus 2.
That's not
9
bad.
plus
Plus
2.
2, that's 11.
7.
That's 11. Oh, shoot.
That's
That's a strong
beautiful.
hit.
That's
That's a strong
beautiful.
hit.
Okay, cool. So Zagul, you start hacking into the greater servers around the drones. We'll say that you give the dock security drones here a hacked 2 status. So you're hacking the mainframe, you're crashing through the firewalls, you're breaking in, but you haven't broken in all the way to gain control. You hear Hanya in your communicator go, okay, we'll just need a little bit more time and maybe we'll be able to take control here, but we'll have to take it careful. Otherwise, we'll start raising an alarm. And then, Tammer, what do you
And
do?
then Tammer. What do I do? That's a really good question. I mean, I could just wait until these 2 do what they're doing, and then I'll just come in and like a wrecking ball at the end.
I mean, Tammer, you're in your exosuit. You haven't been able to throw a punch all day. You're standing
true.
there. You're twitching. Does Tammer
I have unease
wait?
plus 2, and I have unease plus 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can Tammer wait? I think is the right question.
He needs to.
I guess
vent.
what I'm thinking of is like, what can I do that would be helpful in this situation? Because I don't want to go barreling through the labyrinth because I might, accidentally knock my yard down, right? So, is there a clear path to the end of the docks?
Nope. Labyrinth of shipping containers.
Yeah, I think you would just wait because there's literally nothing that's going to actually benefit. There's no kind of clear path. Yeah, there's no real. Yeah, he's just gonna chill.
Add a little friction. Come on.
There's nothing. I mean, if I knock down stuff, it's not really gonna actually achieve anything, and I don't want to waste tags that I might need later.
There is an angel and a ghoul on Tammer's shoulders. On one hand, the angel is doing stealth. On the other shoulder, the ghoul is like, come on. Okay, cool.
He's ready. He's ready. Yeah, just wait.
So yeah, you're ready, but you're waiting. So Mayar or we're 2 hours into this demo and I've already forgotten the name. Zagul. Mayar, do you want to stealth more? Zagul, do you want to hack more? Who wants to go first? Who wants to take the spotlight?
I was gonna see. Oh, see, I don't know if this is gonna cross over with what Zeglul is doing, because I was gonna see if Mayar could contact Hanya and be like, Hanya, can you get me a map and show me a direct route, or at least a more direct route, and kind of help navigate a little bit.
Hmm. That's interesting. I'll say this. I think Hanya comes into your communicator and goes, listen, don't get me wrong. I would love to help you more than your friends, but if I help you, I won't be able to help your friend. So, I mean, no skin off my back, honestly. I'll get you that map, but we're kind of in the middle of hacking the mainframe here.
Ooh, oh no, I don't want to take away from Zeglul.
You gonna do me like that? Trying to sow dissent.
Private message,
Trying
by
to
the
make-
way.
Oh yeah. If I could message like super quick, like switch communication lines and be like, Zeglul, where are you in your hacking? What's going on?
I'm about to make sparks fly, buddy. This whole dog's about to be lit up like Ramadan.
All right, switch back to Hanya. I'll wait on that then. You and Zeglul get back to what you were doing. I'll try and find my own way.
Copy that. And remember,
All right.
no half measures. Click.
Uh.
All right. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna try and sneak.
All right, let's do this.
Same tags. All right. That's a 6 and a 3. So 9 plus 2, 11.
11. Let's see. No story tags there. That's another strong hit.
I'm rolling so many more 6s than I ever have in my life.
So you had sneak past 1, and then that's sneak past 2. Adding status tiers together in Otherscape, that goes to sneak past 2. However, you still have that sneak past 1. I don't have the tracking card, unfortunately, loaded up in the stream, but audience, the way adding up status tiers works is imagine a series of boxes, 1 box, 2 box, 3 box, 4 box. You fill up those boxes with each of your tiers. If a box is filled, you go on to the next tier. So, oh, thank you. Put that a little closer to your camera, Albert. More.
Albert the goat. That's my
There we
goat.
go. Thank you. So you see those boxes? Mayar currently has the 1 box and the 2 box filled. So another sneak past status will bring you up. It could be sneak past 1, it could be sneak past 2, will bring you up to sneak past 3. You got that?
Yes, understood.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Thank you, Albert.
Finally being useful.
So
We're
Mayar is
about
going
to be
through the
really
shadows,
useful.
creeping through. Zaglul, continue your hacking.
I just roll again.
Yep.
Same tags.
Yep. Nothing new has come up.
All right, that is a 3 and a 4. That's
3 and a
7
4
plus
plus 2.
4.
That's, yeah, because Firewall 2 minus your 4 other tags. Sorry, so Firewall 2 plus your 4 other tags. So you got a plus 2. 7 plus 2 is 9. That is another mixed success.
All right.
So here's what happens.
Okay.
You hack into the mainframe. That is another hacked 2 status. So you are now at hacked 3. You hear Hanya in your ear going, come on, we're so close. We're so close. And then a drone starts rolling nearby toward you and Tamer's hiding place. Tamer, you see that Zaglul is just in the zone, in the hacker space. You can see like the lights in front of Zaglul's visors. So I'm going to transfer this mitigate over to you. What do you do to keep this drone from spotting you and Zaglul?
How high is the drone?
I'm going to say it's a spider drone, so it's like climbing on the wall of a nearby shipping container. It's about to come towards you.
Can I grab it and crush it?
You can try.
I want to try.
Okay, what do you got?
Because I got the strength of 10 men. I got... could I maybe do burly body?
Burly body, no. That's going to be more of a, like, if you're about to take damage kind of tag.
Okay. But wrecking crew. Could use that. Wreck things.
Wreck things, okay.
I don't think using the sledgehammer will be useful because that's just going to make a bunch of noise. Can I use my
We're about to make
Exosuit.
a lot of noise. I feel like we can.
No, I know. I could use the exosuit also to add a little bit of strength there.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? I could use the sledgehammer. Why not? Sure.
Okay.
That brings us up to 4.
Go.
Cool. I am going to use your unease 2 status that you still have. I'm going to say you're a little off your game here.
Yeah, that's to be expected.
So it's going to be plus 2.
Come on. I rolled a 3.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
No.
So,
Yeah.
Mayar,
Listen, I always roll terribly.
Mayar, you are close to the edge of the docks. You can see the Nile. You're close enough to hear the waves lapping up against the docks. Zaglul, you are on the edge of the mainframe. You are about to go full, I'm in. You hear Hanya go, come on, come on. Tamer, you see a spider drone, all of its legs on the wall, spotlight on Zaglul. You yelp. You can't help yourself. You let out a loud, manly yelp. Take out your sledgehammer, smash the drone, smash the wall of the cargo container that it's on. Tearing metal sounds throughout the docks, and then suddenly a bunch of other spider drones turn on their spotlights at the same time, and then you hear alarm sounds, and then you hear a sound that is somehow even worse than that. You hear the sound of metal and hydraulics and all the effort that it takes to move the entire hulking mass. You see from behind a stack of cargo containers 2 gigantic hydraulic arms, tank treads for feet, spray painted a garish shade of orange, a giant load lifter bot suddenly appears within the docks, turns toward you, giant spotlight on you and Zaglul, and you hear an automated mechanical voice go, "You are not authorized to be at the docks. Surrender now or be crushed." And that is where we're going to end this demo. Audience, I know we're leaving you on a narrative cliffhanger here. I know. But if you want to see how this fight could turn out, if you want to learn more about the load lifter bot and all the different things they can do, and if you want to learn more about where else this story can go afterward, you can find out completely free. Check out the Cairo Otherscape demo at the Cairo Otherscape /Neuro Otherscape Kickstarter crowdfunding page, which the campaign ends today. So you only have a little bit of time to go over there and check it out. But you can check it out. You can download the files. It comes with sample rules, this adventure, the tracking cards that Albert was so very kind to show off, and the pre-gen characters, including the 3 characters that our lovely writers played today, and the Jin character as well that was just recently added. And the original demo as well from the original Otherscape crowdfunder. So quite a lot given out for free, quite a lot being given out during the pledge tiers there. And I still believe we have some stretch goals to go. In fact, let me just check the page real quick. We have not yet knocked out our latest stretch goal, the 300K stretch goal, which, let's see, I have not been keeping up. We've been kind of obliterating through these. So that was a new one. The adversary deck. So everyone's going to get the loadout deck if they go with the pledge tier. But the adversary deck are specific cards that will show these stat blocks, the different challenge profiles for all of the different enemies, robots, and all the different kind of stuff that will appear within these books. And I'll tell you this, as a master of ceremonies, those things are incredibly handy. But we can only obliterate that stretch goal if you head over to the crowdfunder and check out what's on offer. So, with that,
got just over 3 hours to hit 300K.
Exactly. But we've already just blasted through a couple of other stretch goals as well. And honestly, last time I checked, we have the new Neuro job. We've got new theme kits coming to Neuro Otherscapes. That means more cyberspace goodies. And we've already hit up 10 extra pre-gen folios. So there's going to be even more pre-gen characters. And that's just if you pledge to the crowdfunder right now. So, as you can see, we've had so much fun playing this demo. And truth be told, honestly, outside of this stream, I am going to get a group together so that way I can finish up this demo, because this is such a fun
Yes.
adventure, and I also just love these characters. So, we're going to be hanging out for a little bit longer to answer any questions. At this time, please feel free to hit up our chat with any questions that you have about Otherscape, Cairo Otherscape, Neuro Otherscape, the Kickstarter. And we have 3 writers for Cairo Otherscape here. So if we mentioned any bit of lore during this demo that you want to learn more about, or if there's anything about the world that you want to learn more about, now's the perfect time because these are the perfect people to ask. So,
I do.
I will start off this Q&A with a question that was knocked earlier during the demo that unfortunately I couldn't bring up because I was in the middle of emceeing mode. This is from, let's see here, I got to scroll up now. Very active chat. I very much appreciate that. From Abudi Assam, would smoking hookah increase the noise?
Ooh.
Mm.
I want to say that it potentially could, hypothetically, because there are certain objects and items that can affect your state of mind that can increase the noise or kind of they could give you different benefits or different drawbacks. So I don't see why hookah wouldn't do that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think for Cairo, the noise is very different from Tokyo because Tokyo is very much about the technology and the lights and all that fun stuff. Whereas Cairo is the noise is more about surviving and existentialism and finding kind of like your day to day, life, right? And so yeah, I think smoking a hookah could potentially affect the noise. Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely like a vice in a way. Like not as bad as like some of the hardcore stuff out there, but you usually will see people smoking a hookah, sitting out in like a cafe or whatever, watching a game, a football, soccer, whatever. It's definitely like part of just distracting people, just idle activity, I would say. Yeah.
It's fascinating. Honestly, I would feel like it would kind of decrease the noise a little bit if you kind of get a sort of like you're taking a moment to sort of separate yourself out from the world around you, like taking a moment to relax. Because there's not a whole lot of that in the noisy cyberpunk. It feels like with the noise, it's like, oh, I gotta check my phone, or I gotta check on my AR dailies. Or oh shoot, there's a new movie coming out soon that's coming on the HoloVid, like kind of thing. But it's
But it is
interesting
a
to
sort
see.
of thing where you're kind of like trying to get your mind off things, right? So that's the way that could increase the noise. That's what I'm saying. It could affect the noise in some way, right? Where you're just like, I don't want to deal with my problems. I'm gonna go smoke a shisha, right? And so that is in a way kind of like increasing the noise.
That's fair, actually. No, that I like that.
I think it might be a double-edged sword though, because I do very much associate. Because like yeah, anytime you walk past a cafe or a hookah bar or whatever, and you sort of smell that artificial apple flavor coming from the hookahs, that to me is what Egypt smells like. And I think that is, yeah, it could bring up the noise when you're, watching something, you're distracted, you're not there, or, it could be reflective, could ground you, could tether you to, I guess, reality. I don't know.
I think very important is to understand the context of what a shisha, how shishas are smoked in Egypt, and how they exist culturally. And essentially, if you're gonna go, like Omar saying, if you go to a place somewhere which is shabi, so shabi means kind of like of the people, right? So it's not like a posh mall or something fancy. You're gonna go somewhere where it's like full of coffee houses, which we call ahwas, right? And you go to an ahwa and you smoke a shisha, and it's several other shops as well, other ahwas all having shishas, and you're walking down the street, and sort of like this is kind of like the vibe that you get, right? Where people are smoking shisha, they're watching the football game. It's kind of a very collectivist effort of enjoying life or trying to like dealing with life, which you don't get in a lot of other places. I think it's a really fun and interesting You could just go sit down somewhere in an ahwa somewhere and like find people to chat with, and it's totally fine. Like people are very welcoming in that sense.
I like that a lot. Very interesting conversation. So, a broader question from Christopher Haas, and this is, I'm going to kind of reword it here. So, the original question was, what was the biggest influence for the Cairo setting and lore? I'll sort of rephrase that for you, our three individual writers who contributed to this project. What were some of your biggest influences in your writing for this game? Let's start off with Omar.
Okay, I would say I had to sort of reconnect and call up on like my extended family on a bunch of stuff, because I would say a lot of them are from the countryside, the farmland side, and there's a lot of superstition there. There's a lot of folklore. There's a lot of old wives' tales, and that kind of almost felt like cheating at some point. But yeah, I would just call them up, ask like, "Hey, do you remember this? Do you have any stories about ghosts or jinn or hauntings or whatever?" I just draw inspiration from that, write it down.
Cool.
So I guess just personal experience.
Phenomenal. Sarah?
Yeah, mine was, I think, a big mix of like personal cultural contexts, because one of our main goals was try to get it as grounded as possible in like a realistic as, cyberpunk, futuristic, fictional, like grounded in what Egypt is really like on the day to day. So some personal experience, but also a lot of the mythology, and like digging deep into the different like aspects of the mythology, different aspects of like what Omar was saying, like the folklore and legends. So like, taking something like the jinn and then pulling from the Ness, which are half jinn, half human, and trying to like go as deep into them as possible, find stuff that's a little lesser known and bring it into the light, bring it into the game. And yeah, that was my biggest inspirations in terms of writing it.
Robert?
Ironically, my influence was Western cyberpunk, because I'm a huge fan of Western cyberpunk, and how to not do that. Basically, just I don't want to recreate Western cyberpunk. I want to create Eastern cyberpunk. I want to create what cyberpunk looks like in the East versus what it looks like in the West. And I think a lot of that is just taking, like, as Sarah and Omar both mentioned, which is like cultural experiences and adapting it to the cyberpunk world. For example, Kevin, you mentioned the Cairo OS, and you had described it as a sort of like a municipality thing. It's actually not that. I mean, I don't know if this is under NDA, but I'm going to say it anyway, which is that Cairo OS is a sort of AI. It's the AI that controls all the electronics and everything in the city. It controls the traffic lights, it controls the cameras, it controls the routers, it controls everything. And it's not based off of a specific god. It's based off of Envy itself, right? Because it's the all-seeing eye. And so Cairo OS is that kind of taking that cyberpunk, Western cyberpunk vibe and applying it to like the more Eastern mythological spiritual aspect that we're kind of aiming for.
Phenomenal. By the way, audience, if you want to hear more about the writer's influences in writing Cairo Otherscape, they did a phenomenal interview with Rascal News earlier, and I'll link that in the chat, and I'll also be sure to throw that into the description here. This is me, Kevin Carpenter, plugging Rascal News because I love them as an independent tabletop journalism website, but also it's a really cool article if you want to read more about Cairo Otherscape and working on this project. It's good stuff. All right, so next question. Let's see here. How many pre-gens are there to choose from? So I'll field this one. Originally, the character pack that is offered in this Kickstarter campaign had 10 characters. However, we blasted through the stretch goal for 10 additional characters. So as it currently stands, there will be 10 Cairo Otherscape pre-gens and 10 Neuro Otherscape pre-gens. So that's the current offer on there. But the only way that you can snag that offer right now is by going to the Kickstarter page. Gotta throw in that plug in there. Check it out. Check it out. All right. Let's see here. Will a resource be provided to help us pronounce the Egyptian names, terms, phrases correctly? I do have to say that all of our work here, as well as the work in the crowdfunder, does represent a product that is currently in development. But I think that would be a good addition.
I can actually answer that because I was working on that exact thing. So the hope is that we're going to have something like that. we're going to have ideally 2 things. Again, obviously, it depends on how the final product comes out. But we're going to have a glossary of terms, which explains some terms like, habibi, ahwa, these kind of like Arabic terms that are very common in Egypt. And also, we were going to have a guide on how to pronounce words and how to use the English spelling of Arabic, where we use certain English numbers to pronounce Arabic words, to write Arabic words. So, for example, the kh sound would be a 5, whereas the h sound would be a 7, right? As you can see in the character sheet, which is here, Zaghlul. Let me actually get it out. So the Zaghlul, the 8 in Zaghlul is the gh sound, is what we use when we want to represent the gh sound in English. We use the 8. So it would be Zaghlul, right? And so that's one of the things that we're hoping to get in there.
I am definitely going to need to use that, that's for sure, and I very much appreciate that there will be a glossary of terms. I do remember that there was also a glossary of terms within Tokyo Otherscape, which was both very helpful, but also very funny reading like otaku being defined.
I will say this one thing, which is nobody's going to be upset if you mispronounce things, right? Like we're all cool with it. As an Egyptian, we're not going to get offended if you mispronounce a name or something. It's fine. We know people can't always pronounce things, in our dialect or whatever.
We know we're built different.
But Albert, sometimes I play these games while broadcasting to an audience.
I know.
This is for me specifically benefit.
However.
All right, cool. So from Kush Goku, great name. I'm a total
That's
newcomer. Is Cairo Otherscape a self-contained experience, or would I also need the core setting to enjoy it? So the main rules are collected in the book Metro Otherscape. That is the base game that is going to be giving you the base components. So you will need Metro Otherscape. Cairo Otherscape is a setting book that will give you more player options, more challenges. It will give you different jobs, all this different stuff, but you will still need Metro Otherscape in order to play it. Albert is currently digging it out of the Otherscape box set that he has.
Yep, this is the Tokyo book, and this is the Metro book. So This is the original, and this is one of the expansions, which you can also get on the Kickstarter if you don't have the set. It actually comes in this lovely box here, which is kind of cool.
It's so nice. It's such a nice box, dude.
It's
honestly, and the box comes with
box.
Yeah, it comes with an MC screen. It comes with some dice. It's actually kind of cool. Oh, it comes with a bunch of the Tokyo trackers, obviously. But it's honestly, as somebody who has been in the TTRPG space a little while, self-contained TTRPG books are just a godsend, really, because it's always so frustrating trying to collect everything together. So having the boxes is honestly, and I'm not just being like, marketing, but it's true. Having everything self-contained is so useful.
I also heard that Tokyo Otherscape contains a job called Lost and Flooded that was written by someone who was like super cool and was like just a great MC in general. So I'd recommend checking that one out. Just from what I heard from on the grapevine.
I wonder who that is.
All right.
That box is very heavy, yes.
Let's see here. Enrico Brunetta, how can we play with a theme like the Desert Fox suit in Otherscape? How can we adapt an armor like that to an urban setting? Now, I may be misremembering. Was the Desert Fox suit like a mecha suit? Or it's been a little bit since I've read about that specific one. Instead of me saying that, how about this? Did one of you work on that cool mecha armor that's like powered by blood that's coming up within Cairo Otherscape?
Yes, I can answer that.
Thank you, Albert.
The mecha power suit is part of the RMC, right? Which is the Red Mercury Corporation. It's sort of the Miltech faction of this world, and essentially the way that it works is that they're powered by blood rituals, right? And basically everything. With the guns, their armor, their mech suits, everything is entirely powered by, or let's say not powered, but enhanced through blood rituals. And so I think probably in terms of using it in the city, it might be difficult if you're going to stealth, but it is probably something that if you're, for example, working as like an officer in the RMC, because you could totally be that. You could be an officer in the RMC and have access to that suit. That's probably how you could use it, most likely.
Okay, cool. So, still accepting questions. If anyone has any questions about the lore and all of that good stuff, or how to play the game, um, honestly, I
I
kind
will.
of want to. Oh, sorry, go for it,
No,
Albert.
I was gonna add the interesting about RMC is that whereas most factions are kind of like powered by one mythos, RMC is powered by two. One which is an Egyptian god, and one which is an external god, and it's sort of like it's a stand-in for kind of like colonialism, which is what the RMC is, because the RMC is a foreign military organization conglomerate that has made a stronghold here in Egypt, and it's sort of like the colonial version of it, of the story. I thought it'd be interesting.
Another interesting question that was just given to us by Maya's Game Room: will there be a full campaign for Cairo?
Sure about that.
Yeah, by campaign, do they mean full adventure?
Yes, there
gonna
will
say, can
be
the three of us
actually
even
a
answer that?
full series of jobs. Yes, we can
Yeah.
answer that. That is good. That's on the Kickstarter page. That's past our
Alright.
NDA. We're totally good on that.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact number just because of the stretch goals. I will have to double check that, but there will be a series of jobs within Cairo Otherscape that will lend toward a campaign within the setting itself. So some very cool stuff on offer there if you pick up the Cairo Otherscape setting book through the Kickstarter.
Yeah, and as part of these jobs, we've set up. I mean, again, obviously depending on the final product, but a lot of really interesting challenges on the Discord. I talked about the hippopotamus that can eat your soul, take a bite out of your soul, and there's a bunch of cool cryptids that you can deal with, and yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff.
Cool. So, uh, I think this is probably a good place to wrap this up. As some of you are joining from the other side of the world from me, there is sun outside my window right now. But for some of you who are joining us from Egypt, thank you for being here so late at night and playing this demo game. I do have one more question for you three, though, and this is more of a question for me. It's very important to me. Playing through the demo, did you have fun?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That was
absolutely.
great.
A lot
Had a
of fun.
lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Thanks for running us through
I'm
it.
upset that we left on the cliffhanger. I wanted to know what happened. I wanted to keep going.
I
I
had a
wanted to
feeling
continue.
as soon as I rolled that 3, I was like, "This is the end, isn't it?" That's what that roll was. That roll was the end.
I can't believe I've only had 2 mixed successes, and both of them Albert paid the price for. I did not
Did
have
pay
to
the price.
mitigate any of
Always
that.
pay the price. Always paying the price. Hammer the tank.
Alrighty, so let me go into my ending spiel here then. Audience, thank you all for joining us today for this stream. And if you are watching this later on our YouTube channel, first off, hello from the past. I hope everything's going great out there. While you're watching this, please feel free to like this video, subscribe to the channel. We will, of course, have more content about City of Mist, Otherscape, and Son of Oak's upcoming rustic fantasy game, Legend in the Mist, coming to the channel as well. So if you want to learn more about these games, and if you want to be the first to hear news about them, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. You can also join our Discord community that Albert was so gracious to mention just moments ago. The Son of Oak Discord community is so great. There are so many people there who love these games and love talking about these games. And the amount of people who have come in with questions like, I want to build this character, how do I do it? I have this idea, how do I make it? What's some cool music that you all play during your sessions? People are so willing to help out each other in this community. You can check out the Discord link in the description of this video. Join today and talk with other people about these games. Also in that description, of course, is the link to the Cairo Neuro Otherscape Kickstarter. Once again, I gotta plug it. It's the last day of the Kickstarter. It's the last day to get in on these pledges, to get these amazing deals, to get the loadout deck for free. And if we blast through our stretch goal, we will also unlock the adversary deck. Please, as an MC that is going to be running this game in the future, unlock the adversary deck. It is incredibly handy.
I got 3 hours to get 3,500.
Exactly.
We're almost there,
It's
basically.
possible.
We're almost there. So, one last thing. Thank you all to our audience watching this, to the backers who have already pledged to the campaign, to the backers who will be pledging to the campaign after this. On behalf of Son of Oak Game Studio, quite frankly, none of us would be doing this without you. You all give us the excuse to write about these amazing worlds, to get these amazing artists to create these incredible visuals, and to just spread these games and join everyone together and just having fun while playing through cyberpunk dystopias and fighting against robots and megacorporations and all that good stuff. So, with that, thank you all for joining the stream. We will all be logging out. Our writers based in Egypt will be getting some good sleep. So,
Thank you.
without further ado,
Yep.
see you all later.
All right.
See ya.